Good morning, everyone. For the record, it is November 4th, 2021. We are coming to the tail end of the year. This is our regular business development advisor training that we do every single week. And this week, you have the unfortunate pleasure of having me on again. Usually, this is the odd week, so we would have a carrier come in. We were going to have Symetra come in. However, due to a last minute thing, they were not able to show up. So we'll have Brian on another time so we can talk about Symetra. But for our purposes, then I'm still going to do a little bit of a carrier and product training, and then we'll jump into a few other things. So we mentioned before we started this that we were going to talk about annuities, and I wanted to go through because we haven't talked about them at all yet. One of the big 800-pound gorillas in the annuity space, which is Allianz.
Yay.
So although I say 800-pound gorilla, technically Athene now it has the #1 spot for fixed index annuities. They bumped Allianz out, and now Allianz is #2. So you get me instead of the, I know 2 weeks ago we had Athene come on. Debbie, you're going to have to let me know if I do better than our contemporary over at Athene.
Okay.
With that said, again, as always, this is not although I'm going to go through a presentation and some information, I'm going to go over one of their products, one of their flagship products. Stop, ask questions, and for understanding. The idea of this is so that everyone can not only get a really good understanding of annuities, but also then specifically of the Allianz 222 and how it fits in a portfolio for clients, basically. And then we'll talk about a few other tools afterwards, but the bulk of the time we're going to spend on that product because, like I said, for the longest time, the 222 product was the #1 sold annuity year after year after year after year. So it's going to be a good product for everyone to know about so that you're familiar, because there's a lot of agents that sell Allianz. So before I get into, I'll pop up my screen, make sure everyone can see it. But I suppose let's see, there we go. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So this slide is more going to go over annuities and the 222 product. But what I do just want to say real quick is Allianz has been a major player they have an annuity division and a life division. They've been a major player in the annuity space for a long time. One of the things just on our end, so that everyone understands on Allianz, is Allianz has 2 contracts. They have a life division contract, and they also have an annuity contract. But note that the annuity contract is what's called a preferred contract, which means that to get access to that contract, you actually have to qualify for it. It is one of the few contracts that are out there that you cannot just get if you have a license and you can fog up a mirror. So there's a few qualifications. I won't go over all of them right now, but I know one of them is if you're a CPA or a financial advisor, have your series license. And another one is if you have done either 250 or 500,000 hours in annuities in the past year. And so you have to be able to prove all those things. If you have not done that amount of premium, or you're not a financial advisor, you're not a CPA, things like that, then they will not give you the contract. So just
Nathan.
Yep. Sorry, Judge Justin.
Oh, real quick question. Does variable annuities count towards that 250, 500, or does it have to be fixed?
It does not have to be fixed. It can be, I'm like 95% certain it can be variable as well. Just you have to have done annuity production over that period of time. So that is, I wanted to address that piece because for us, like we're going through this product so that you understand it from a marketing perspective. But if someone wants this product or you want to earn someone's contract on this side, then that's one of the first things that you'll have to understand is that it is a preferred contract and they have to be able to qualify for it. So you have to know know those requirements, and we have sheets on it. We have a contact that can give you all that information. But if that is a contract that they want, understand that they have to be able to qualify for it. So it's just sending over the contract without asking any of those extra questions isn't going to make any sense. So any questions about that piece before we move on? All right. So let me go through the slides then. And again, ask questions, interrupt me. Jason did a beautiful example of that.
Good at it, Jason. Nathan.
And we will go from there. Now, just so everyone knows, Allianz also has some pretty phenomenal materials. So I literally just grabbed this off of, I grabbed this from the back office. So you have to have a contract to be able to get this information, or I can send it out if people need it. Literally grab this. They have a lot of great presentations already pre-built. And as you can see, the cool part, I mean, I'm not going to go through and read this, but they have the script already laid out for each slide, basically. So that's very good to know. Literally, if someone's presenting the Allianz 222 or any of their products, we can find a way to get something to them, or they can log into their back office and they have a presentation to go through the product and go through the features and benefits all right here. So be aware of that. Yes.
Okay. So a general question building off that, we function through 3Mark. And so one of our big selling points is, oh, hey, access to everything through 3Mark, so you don't have to go to individual carriers. Do a lot of individual carriers have information like this that is valuable for us to in turn tell agents and agencies, like, go to 3Mark, but you should still create accounts now that you have these contracts with these carriers because they have additional resources that they've designed for you?
Well, and all of them are going to have to create accounts to, to check things, get product materials and things of that nature, and especially in the annuity space. So the annuity space, there's only a few carriers that have access to a lot of information. Life insurance is a little bit more open, a lot of times. But yes, there is, in each carrier, they have client approved materials that they built out that usually you can only get access to if you're contracted with the carrier, or if a marketer sends it out, which is, like I said, this is good for us to know about and understand. So like I said, I'm not going to go through like the script like they have it. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this. So
I see what you're saying now.
Allianz 222. This is the agenda for this presentation. Like I said, I'm going to breeze through some things, but knowns and unknowns of retirement. Remember, this is a client-facing presentation. So this is designed that if someone wants to talk about, income within retirement, this is a pretty good actually presentation that someone can walk through. So knowns and unknowns of retirement, benefits of fixed index annuities, and then they're going to go over the Allianz 222 fixed index annuity. So number one, solutions for retirement. And I'm, like I said, some of this stuff I'm going to breeze through. Planning for the unknowns of retirement. So retirement knowns right now, big deal on increased life expectancies. Inflation's a huge concept, and then also managing taxes. So really quick, so I can get audience participation. Would everyone agree that those three things are something that most retirees are wondering about?
Yes.
I'm wondering about that right now.
I'm getting the head nod. I like it.
Your background, Ross.
So those are retirement knowns. Like people are aware of this. They're worried about this. There's problems. And then there's retirement unknowns of, Social Security. What's that going to look like at retirement? Inflation and tax rates. So there's a lot of talk about, increasing the tax rate. And is inflation going to change? And the other unknown of the market volatility. We don't know what's going to happen in the marketplace. So this sets the stage for a advisor to have those conversations about all those things. And what you're doing is you're setting up the problem already. So like I said, I'm breezing through some of this stuff. There's a lot of things that you can go in directions, but we're going it from the marketing perspective of how they can use a presentation like this. So some of the things that Allianz then is able to have solutions for is be able to increase income potential, so which is going to help against inflation. Asset protection. So protecting, the premise of fixed index annuities is that they give you a bottom floor. So you can protect against market volatility. If the market tanks, your money's going to do 0%. And then tax control to help manage assets with more efficiency and flexibility using a choice of several distribution methods. So the idea that fixed index annuities are tax deferred vehicles. And then when you take the income out, you're spreading that income over a period of time, which means that you're managing and controlling how much taxes you pay then too. So that's the basic premise. 3 things that annuity does: income potential, asset protection, tax control. This is the solutions that they're talking about. So benefits of fixed index annuities. All right, so here are the 3 things that most agents talk about is tax deferral. So again, because of how it works, you're not getting taxed on the growth. You can defer the taxes and keep on growing. That's important. Indexed interest potential. The idea of having the ability for growth, it's not going to be the wild swings of the marketplace, but it is going to give you a increase in your, be able to give you a potential increase on the interest side. And then protection, 0% bottom floor. The whole concept is, who here has heard of zero is your hero? Jake's raising his hand. So that's used a lot in the fixed index annuity space, because if the market tanks, you get 0%. On the annuity, you don't lose any money. That's a big deal. So the other thing then that goes along with that on the protection side is ability for accumulation, guarantees. And this is a big deal, guaranteed income for life. So when I say income for life, what that means is that if someone turns on income from an annuity, the annuity will keep on paying them no matter how long they live, no matter whether they run out of that pool of money or not, and no matter how the market performs.
And what determines the rate of what they make off that?
So there's what's called a payout factor.
Okay.
So the money grows. Let's say you put in $100,000 and it grows to $200,000 over 10 years.
Sure.
At $200,000, it's going to look at your age, and then there's going to be a payout factor. And that payout factor could be 4%, 5%, 5.5, 6%. Sure. And they're going to multiply the payout factor times the pool of money. And that's what's going to determine how much it's going to pay you every single year for the rest of your life. So $200,000, if it was 5%, that means it would be paying you $10,000 every year.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And the idea being is that that's the benefit of annuities, is that 5%. So if it's $10,000 in this example, that means in 20 years, the pool of money would be gone. The $200,000 would be spent down. Now, if you still live beyond that 20 years, though, they're still going to pay you that $10,000.
Is there ever a cap?
No.
So like if I started an annuity now and it went to some ridiculous rate and I started payouts at 65 years old
Yeah.
and I lived to be 103 and it ran out at 85, 84 years old.
Yep.
They'd pay me for an additional like 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's exactly how it works. That is the guarantee of income for life.
Okay.
And that's contractual. Like,
Right,
that
right.
can't be breached. So that's a big deal in the retirement planning space. So that's the guarantee side. Then the death benefit side. So if the person doesn't live and uses all of that pool of money, they're still going to typically pay out a death benefit of whatever you didn't use. So if you only used $100,000 of that, then your beneficiaries would get the $100,000.
But why does that say before annuity payment begins?
Once the annuity payment begins, then the amount is going to be decreased by how much is taken out. It's not that it disappears. So traditional annuities, there's what's called an annuitization.
Right, annuitization period and then a payout period.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, but once you start that payout period, which typically was called annuitization, which means is that you're betting your life against that pool of money, and the insurance company is saying, well, we hope that you die sooner, and you're saying, I hope that I live longer, because if you die before you use all that money, they get all the money.
Okay.
And most annuities that work in this day and age, that's not the case. So what's left over is going to still go to your beneficiaries.
Okay.
All right, so that's the death benefit.
Sorry.
And no, you're good. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? So those are major: tax deferral, index interest potential, and then in the protection field, it comes with accumulation, guarantees, and death benefit. Everyone good?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So the next thing so that's the setup of, there's the problems, there's potential solutions with fixed index annuities. Let's talk about the Allianz 222 specifically. So who may be interested? Someone that has a timeline of at least 10 years prior to retirement. So this specific, we'll get into it later, but looking for principal protection and tax deferral of any growth, combination of guarantees and opportunity for index interest, flexibility to change their minds, potential for increasing income, could benefit from a premium bonus and an interest bonus. So based on those parameters, do you think that there is people out there that fit this profile?
Probably. I don't think everyone is older.
No
than
one-
70.
No one talked to Jason. Jason is not the type of agent you want to talk to.
Jason, talk to me.
Hey, how you doing?
Uh,
Let's start talking VA.
we're not going on VAs right
Nathan,
now.
I'm just joking. I know. It's funny.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, the idea is that, yes, there's tons of people out there that fit this profile that are looking for those type of things. And that's exactly what this product is going to help them do.
But I feel like Jason knows something better. He needs to share his ways.
Yeah.
I personally love the Allianz Advantage. Those 4 products are fantastic with the buffer. But that's for licensed individuals. And I know we don't talk about licensed people here, right, Nathan?
Well, we don't talk about broker dealers and series licensed.
Mhm.
We do. There will be conversations down the road, but most of where everyone here is going to make the bulk of their money on, and the larger potential of agents that are out there is the people that are just life insurance licensed or health insurance licensed. And
Is there ever any conversation or I should say purpose to have conversations of almost persuasion towards being able to sell those? Like, is it easy to accomplish the ability to sell paired with a notably higher payout for that agent? Like, is it easy to get the license?
Yeah.
And is that agent gonna make a
No.
lot more money if they sell these other
No,
products?
it's not.
Okay.
It's not terribly easy to get the license. You have
Okay.
to do a lot of studying. You have to pass a test. You have to
Okay.
pay the money. You have to pay the fees. Like
Okay.
it's actually prohibitive.
Okay.
So there's not nearly as many of them.
Okay, makes sense.
Jason being one of them. He's a hot shot.
Love you, Jason.
And Jake.
All right. So potential to earn. So the 222, the reason it's called the 222 is because there are two ways to earn interest. There's two ways to get the death benefit, and there's two ways to earn get income.
Oh, I like
So
it.
that's why it's called the 222. They're going to go through this in a second. But available interest options. So you have the fixed interest allocation, which is, whatever the declared rate of the company is. If it's 2%, if it's 2.5%, if it's 3%, that's what you're getting for that year, no
Okay.
matter what.
Okay.
And then the other ones are, I'm not going to go through all of these because we can literally spend all day talking about indexes, but they have 9 different indexes that you can put, that you can allocate your funds to. And each of them have different mixes and where they have the money, basically.
Can you allocate to multiple?
You can allocate to
All
all
9?
of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, you can allocate to multiple. So the idea, so crediting methods at a glance. So I'll take a minute on this so that everyone understands different strategies, but has everyone, and Jason, I know you've heard of this, so
I have not.
annual point to point.
No idea.
Debbie, have you heard of that or understand what that is?
Nope.
Join me, Debbie.
Really quick, this is good for everyone to understand and know, but annual point to point, what it means is that, a little bit, but annual point to point, which means they're going to take a 12-month period.
Okay.
So an annual, and they're going to take 1 point at the beginning of that 12-month period. And the other point is at the end of that 12-month period. So we are in November 2021. That is going to be 1 point. November of 2022 is going to be the second point.
Okay.
What they're going to do is they are going to monitor whatever index you put the money into, or multiple indexes.
Okay.
And then what they're going to do is, if you had, like I said, I'm using easy math. Let's say you put in $100,000. The index, whatever it was, let's say it started off at 1,000 points.
Mhm.
And by November 2022, it went from 1,000 to 1,050.
Okay.
So
5% growth.
thank you. Yes. So what they do is they watch that. What that does is that creates a 5% growth from this point to this point. And then they will, once you get to November 2022, they will credit you the 5% to the 100,000. So now you have $105,000 in there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So that's an annual point to point.
Sure. Conceptually, perfect sense.
Awesome. Debbie, that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is what a point to point strategy means.
Okay.
And so that's when you see point to point, annual point to point. That's all it's doing is 0.1, 0.2, and then so December 21 to December 22, that's another point.
Okay.
January to January point, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And all that means with a cap is that if the S&P 500 did, let's say the cap easy is 10%, and the S&P 500 did 11%, you would only get
10%.
10%.
Okay.
That is the most popular by far concept. The only difference then in the annual point to point, still an annual point to point, but there's a spread, which means that, say the spread is 3%, which means that if you got 10%, they would take away 3% every time. If the index only did 3%, they would take away 3% and you would get 0%.
Right.
Now it can't go negative. So if you did 1%, it would still only go to 0%. But that's what a spread is. So the spread is going to be a percentage. You just subtract the total interest credited minus the spread, and that equals what's going to be credited.
Okay. So obviously potential to get 0.
Yeah.
But potential to go above whatever a perceived cap is.
Exactly.
Now, is the annual point to point with a cap? Could you still get 0 there?
Yes.
Okay.
If the index did 0%,
Okay.
then you get 0%.
Okay.
Participation rate means how much you're going to participate in the interest credit. So if you're participating 50% in interest credit and it does 10%, you're only going to get 5. There are some times that the participation rate though is over 100%. So if it was 125% and it did 10%, you're now doing 12.5%.
And you don't directly really choose the participation rate per se. It's more so, and I mean, I guess it is your choice, but it's like based off a specific commitment of some type of characteristic, right?
Yeah. So they're the ones that are setting up these. You would see them, and you're choosing that you want to allocate some of your funds towards that, basically. I won't go, 2-year point to point just means that they're doing it from 2 years instead of 1 year. And a monthly sum is they're tracking that every month, basically.
Right.
Super simple. So those are the different types of crediting strategies that they have more. So as you see, the idea of what they did on the scale is sensitivity to volatility.
Mhm.
So they caps and stuff like that. And this is on the lower end of the sensitivity to volatility. There's usually not as much interest potential though. And then the other ones are sensitive to volatility because, well, if you only do 3%, you could only get 0% with a 3% spread, as an example.
Right.
And then same thing with these. You have the higher potentiality, but if the indexes don't perform, then you have higher ability for volatility of different interest rates that's going to happen.
So if I were to look at annual point to point with the participation rate, whether it be 2-year or whatever.
Yep.
Versus and compare that to annual point to point with a cap. As long as the participation rate was 100%.
Yep.
I would never be able to do worse with annual point to point with a participation rate than annual with a cap, because I'm getting 100% what that was. And I would be getting the same thing with a cap. So if the cap got 1% and it was 1% with participation rate of 100%, I still get 1%, correct? So
Yes.
Okay.
Typically though, what they do with 2 years is they give you higher percent,
Correct.
to higher participation rates, higher caps, higher spreads, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
But, okay, any questions about that?
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Like I said, this was designed so that we can take some time, because I know there's people that are newer to the industry and understanding some of the terminologies that are happening and going on.
Right.
So,
And I guess I asked because I don't understand why anyone wouldn't do, if you have opportunity to have at least 100% participation, I don't understand why anyone wouldn't be sold on 100% participation, because I could get more because I don't have a cap, but I'll never get less than what.
because that's usually not how it works in annuities. So you'll see in a little bit.
I see.
But
Jason's laughing at me. I can hear him in the background.
All right. So each crediting method has a participation rate, blah, blah, blah. What if the contract never changes the problem? No problem. All right. So this is a specific feature to Allianz.
Okay.
So Jason, are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
The index lock?
Mhm.
Well, aren't you really glad that you jumped on this webinar?
I come back for not seeing you for a couple of weeks, and yeah, here we are.
Absolutely. Well, it is good to hear. It is good to see your face.
It's good to hear all this again.
Awesome.
It
So
really is.
index lock. This is a specific, and I would say at this point, proprietary feature of Allianz annuities and Allianz life insurance. So very simply, I will read the things that are on here. Okay, because it's going to track and view index values. You can do that online. So someone a client can log in and see what's going on with the index values and if it's doing really well or not doing really well. What it means by index lock is then the second thing, lock in index values on select indexed interest allocations anytime during crediting period. So really quick, yes, it is a mouthful. Going back to annual point to point. Remember, the idea is all they're waiting for is they're looking at one point and then the other point, and that's a whole year time period. A lot of stuff can happen in between that year. What's happening with an index lock feature is that you can track that, and if it spikes at a certain point in the middle of the point-to-point strategy, you can lock in that rate.
Oh, okay.
Now, you can't participate in the rest of the year. So if it goes higher than that, you
Right.
can't change
You're
it.
locked.
But if all of a sudden there's a really phenomenal month and you're like, well, I want to lock it in at that rate because the probability of it going higher is very, very low.
Sure.
You can lock in that rate right there. So what that does is it helps minimize the effects of midterm market volatility is exactly what it's there for. Because in the like I said, annual point to point, you're watching the whole year. If there's a spike in the middle of that, in the midterm market, there's currently in most annuities, there's no way to capitalize on that spike.
Right.
So you have to wait it out and hope that it evens it out itself over that time period. Whereas with this, you can lock in that and say, I lock in that interest rate and I don't have to worry about
And
it.
so then the annual point to point with an interest or an index lock would mean, let's just say it was November, like you said, November 2021,
Yep.
and you lock in February because all of a sudden instead of 1,000, it's now at 1,000 or it's now at 1,150.
Yep.
So now you've got not a 5% jump, but you've got a 15% jump. So instead of looking at the whole year, they look at those 2 points and create your increased percentage.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So this is there's 2 ways to do that in the index lock. You can auto lock.
Okay.
Or you can manually lock it. So auto lock, all it means is that you set an interest rate. And if that interest rate at any point in the time of that annual point to point strategy, it hits that interest rate, it's going to automatically lock it for you. You don't even have to monitor it.
Okay.
The manual lock means that you're choosing when to lock it. So you're keeping an eye on it. You'll check on the index, how's it performing, and then you're going to manually lock it. But this is this is kind of a big deal in the annuity space. Like
Yeah.
this is newer. They've only had this for about a year. Allianz is the only one that has it. But not shift over on the life side. This works for their life and index universal life policies as well. And there's been people that have been locking in 11, 12, 13% interest rates because of some of the volatility that we had going on.
Does it does it function? You gave a month, November 2021.
Yep.
How specific is that initial target point? Like, let's just say I have some trading background and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this because it's going to be a little bit more a safe way. So I'm going to try and monitor and see where for this initial point, I can find the lowest part of the index.
Yep.
Like, if I lock in, I'm like, okay, I want to lock in November 13th at 3:11 p.m. because I saw a huge drop in the market. Does it average something out and I can't lock in at this huge drop? So then I can wait down later and find this big jump. So instead of getting a lower income or a lower interest, I can try to really leverage a dramatic one.
So I won't go over like the specifics, but like it's not to that. It's not like trading at all.
Okay.
Like it's not designed to be like trading.
Well, right.
It's not even.
I just didn't know there's a way to leverage any knowledge in that area.
Not to that extent.
Okay.
But
I mean, the only thing you can leverage in that sense, I traded S&P for almost 20 years. I mean, if you see, like a top or, like a head and shoulders where you see like, you have a resistance in regards to like the ceiling and you think that this is going to be a real hard level to break through, that would be, Jake, where I would say maybe consider the lock then, on an up move. But other than that, no, there's really no.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can't get in until the end of the point. So on your anniversary date, it resets. It doesn't reset off the lock. So, there's really no way to.
Well, I guess I'm talking about if I don't even have one, like I'm looking to start one. So I'm trying to get my very first initial point that it's going to measure against. Is there a way, or does it ever get specific enough where I can try and identify, man, not even okay, November, I get it. November's a lower month, but not even just that November's a low month. Well, November, I'm noticing that just today, November 12th, this is, I think, maybe the lowest point. And if I lock in at November 12th, is it averaging out November and saying November average is the lock-in date for my initial very first point when I sign the contract on the dotted line? Or am I able to get the specific November 12th low that I tried to lock in at?
Well, your first point isn't until it gets funded. So depending on how long that takes too, I mean, there's no way you could fill out an app and get it funded that quickly to take advantage of that. So, I mean, you could.
See. So you have to do beforehand and watch that. But like I said, it also depends on.
Sorry.
There's something called sweep dates.
Yep.
So each company has a different sweep date. Some of them do daily, some of them do in the middle of the month.
Okay.
So even if you were to do a policy at the beginning of the month, they might not sweep the money into the index until the 15th of the month.
Okay. And
So
then no matter what, it's the 15th.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the timing of what you're talking about, like
It's
I said,
just not practical.
it's not practical in how fixed index annuities work.
Okay.
period. But
Okay.
good questions.
Thank you.
Stop asking.
I will.
No, actually, this is really good. I'm all joking aside, those are good questions to ask because again, the more knowledgeable we are, the more we can have, like, there are going to be agents that'll ask us questions like that,
Sure.
that have that kind of background, especially if they're in the financial advisory space.
Then I'm just gonna say, go talk to Jason.
Yeah.
Jake, we'll talk trading all day long, buddy. I'll come over to the office and yeah.
There you go. I'm not going to go through these, but this is just going through the different indexes and which one have caps, which one are annual point to points, which one are monthly sums, which are in 2 years, and which one have participation rates, blah, blah, blah. All right. So Allianz 222. 2 ways to receive a bonus, 2 ways for potential increase of lifetime withdrawal income, 2 ways beneficiaries can receive the benefit. That is why it's called the 222. Again, it is a very popular annuity. So we're going to briefly walk through. So 2 ways to receive a bonus with a protected income value. First, let me take a step back. All right, going to go back to my whiteboard. All right. This is the #1 reason agents get sued. And more and more agents understand this, but what we're talking about with the 222 is designed as an income annuity, which means when you put in $100,000 into an income annuity, that money is going to go into 2 buckets.
Okay.
There is an accumulation bucket, and there is your income bucket. What'd you say, Jason?
This is the cash value argument that I've had with a lot of people about this product when I was at Thrivent and was captive and could only sell our fixed index. We lost out to the 222 every single time.
I could imagine, especially with, I mean, I understand a little bit about Thrivent annuities, so.
Yeah, I got to know this product really well from the wrong side of the fence. Yep.
Just remember all the policies you could have sold if you were independent back then. All right, so we're going to talk about a bonus, but specifically with this product, there's a 25% bonus. That's what the Allianz, that's one of the bonuses for the Allianz 222. Here's the difference.
What does that mean, a 25% bonus?
$100,000 you put in, I'll get there. $100,000 you put it in. In the accumulation side, all you're going to have is $100,000. Okay. Now, the accumulation side is what I'm going to call your real money. This is your take it and run money. This is at the end of the 10 years, at the end of surrender charge. If you tried to take this money out, you're going to get whatever is in this bucket. It is important to understand. On the income side, though, what they're going to do is that 25% bonus is not on the accumulation. It's not on your real money. It's on your income money. I can see Jason wanting to talk.
Yeah, no, I mean, we lost so much because of that, because people thought they're, the real money, the cash value, accumulation, whatever you want to call it, they thought they were getting the bonus on that. And I would sit there and explain to them that, no, it's on the annuitized value or the income value. And they were like, no, the agent said 25% on all the way across. And
Now, there are annuities out there that have bonuses on the accumulation side. This specific product is an income one, and that's where you're going to see the higher bonuses. If it's a bonus over 10%, more often than not, that bonus is being accredited to the income portion, not the accumulation portion.
Okay.
And this is where lawsuits have happened, because people will go through the 10-year surrender period and they never turned on the income. And now they want to move the money, and they're seeing this. So this is what's going to happen. 10 years from now, let's say this keeps on growing according to the interest, and this is at 150,000. 10 years from now, this could potentially look like this. Now, on the statements that a client sees, they're going to see these two numbers. And if the agent did not explain this properly, they are going to think that this is all their money. It is not. This is. Now, if they decide to turn on income, and we talk about that payout factor, let's say that's 5%, the benefit being is that they're going to take that 5% on this money, not on this money. Okay.
Nathan, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go
Do
for
they
it.
lower the rate because of the bonus?
The payout factor?
Yeah.
No, it's the same usually across the board for every product.
Okay.
Yeah. The payout factor typically doesn't change. The only difference being is how much money is in the income bucket for the payout factor.
What about compared to other carriers?
So each carrier has their own payout factor. So I don't have the data on the top of my head, but there are some carriers that have like noticeably better payout factors. And sometimes that's the feature that a lot of agents don't actually compare, is if the payout factor is significantly lower than another company's payout factor, then sometimes the income bucket of what's in there doesn't actually matter, because you can have less money in a different annuity, but a higher payout factor, and it's still going to pay out the same amount of money or more. But each company has, they're usually pretty close, but each company has a different payout factor.
Why would they even put in the bonus? Isn't that ultimately going to cost them more money, putting in like that 25% bonus?
If enough people use the income bucket, yes. Here's the basic, one of the ideas of income annuities is that not everyone turns on income.
Why would people not turn on income at some point? Taking out death, taking out random accidental death. Why would someone put $100,000 into something and just keep it in there? Like, it's really pretty to look at and great to think about, and never turn it on.
Because a lot of annuities are sold to people that have other income assets.
Okay.
And so they don't necessarily need to turn, they don't end up needing to turn this one on over that period of time. And so they just keep it in there. So what happens is that, well, they're like, I don't really need the income at this point, so now I want to take that money. Now, this is still going to grow. There's still
Right.
there's still the value of it being an annuity. It's in a environment that you can't lose money in.
Sure.
That's a big deal.
Sure. Okay.
So
Okay.
that's why it still exists. But anyways, that's the idea of in this side of what we're talking about. This is an income annuity. There's real money, accumulation value, and there's income money. And that's what the bonus in this case is going towards the income value.
Okay. So then how are agents able to protect themselves against getting sued? Obviously, if they explain it right, I get it. Like it's what it is. But is it when they sign that they're like they sign the client signs, yes, this is what was explained to me, and they're covered, or
some of them do that.
Okay.
Some like the biggest thing is education.
Right. I get that, but I'm just curious if there's something that we should be saying. Make sure, obviously, besides say it correctly.
Yeah.
Make sure you implement X. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
That's what errors and omission insurance is for.
I understand that.
But anyway, so protected income value, you're going to see enhanced withdrawal benefit, protected income value. There's a few different terminologies out there. What that means is that's talking about the income bucket, basically.
Okay.
So that's what protected income value is. So 25% premium bonus, day one. You get a 25% bonus, and what they're saying is first 18 months, if the client were to put any more money into the policy in the 18-month, they're still going to get the 25% premium bonus.
Okay.
So $100,000 turns into $125,000 right away. The second
Nathan,
way to go ahead.
Do they, I'm sorry. Do they start a new point to point, or do they hold it till the next anniversary?
That's actually a good question. No, it's the same point. It's going to be accredited to, I believe, the same point to point.
Okay.
Because it doesn't create, it's not a new annuity. It's still within the same environment, basically. So it would just be added to, like, if it got put in the first year, the second year, so like the 13th month, it would be accredited to whatever that annual reset was. The second piece of on the income side, so you got the 25% bonus, but then you're also getting a 50% interest bonus.
Now, okay, keep on. You'll answer them, sure.
So interest bonus, what I mean by that is if the index crediting did whatever it is, whatever the participation rate and the cap is, if it did 5%, and that's what it is, they're going to take 5%, they're going to multiply it by 50%. And what's credited to the income portion is now going to be 7.5.
Okay.
Now, on the accumulation side, you're still only getting the 5%.
Right.
But on the income side, you're getting the interest bonus on top of the premium bonus, which, and a 25% bonus, I don't know what the math is, but if you, in the first year, if you put in $100,000, you get a 25% bonus, plus then you get the index
Additional 50% in interest.
bonus, plus whatever it is. That's a huge year in growth. Like,
Right.
no one can match that.
Right.
There's no other vehicle out there that can do something like that and get that kind of instant growth.
Now, is that so the premium, however, whatever you wanted to call it, the premium when you pay in the money.
Yep.
That we just talked about, that 25% bonus only happens for 18 months. Then it goes away.
No, what it's saying is for the first 18 months, if you add any money to it,
Correct.
yeah. So if you put in, if you can't put, it's not designed to put in money after that.
Oh,
Yeah. So
you got to get all your money in 18 months.
yes.
And every single time you make any type of payment, they will add 25% to that payment.
Yes.
Okay. Then when you know you are out of the, I'm trying to remember what the name of that period's called, the pay-in period.
Yeah.
You then only can take advantage of the 50% interest bonus
Yes.
forever
Well, yes.
until you reach the annuitization period.
Yeah. It's usually, so this product is a 10-year product.
Okay.
So, but yes, that's how it works. You would get the, so the two ways you get the bonus is the 25% premium bonus plus the 50% interest bonus every time interest is credited.
Okay.
All right. So this is just showing how the bonus works together. So again, like this is the hypothetical 100 premiums, 125,000 hours. You get hypothetical 3% interest rate
Okay,
times 50%, that's 1.5, you get 4.5. So now you're at 130,000.
okay,
And then next
Sure.
year does 0, you're still at 130. Next year does 2.5, you're really at 3.75, and the projected income value, you're at 135,000. So
and those were years, not
Yeah,
months.
those are years, yeah.
Okay, okay,
So then 2 ways for potential lifetime withdrawal income increases. So number 1 is that there's the payout factor. So ages 60 through 69, the payout factor is 4.5%. If you do a joint payout, so 2 spouses, then it decreases because it's taking 2 people's lifetimes. That's why the joint payout is lower. 70-79 is 5%. So that's the payout factor. Whatever that income value grew to, if it grew to $500,000 and you turned it on at age 70, take 5%, multiply that by 500,000. That means it's going to start paying out $25,000 every single year for the rest of their life. So, so the other thing about this too is Allianz. There's not very many carriers that do this. Athene is another one, but you have the ability to increase your income even after you're turned on the income feature. So let's say that 25,000 hours, usually most annuities, once you hit the payout factor, they're going to pay you that same amount of money no matter what.
sure,
In Allianz, though, if this still performs, and you get the increase by the chosen whatever your allocations are, plus the 50% interest bonus, if that increases, then that is going to increase the 25,000. So that 25,000 hours could turn into 26,000 and 27,000 and
Okay.
28,000. Does that make sense?
kind of.
So this is for you, Jake. So you get to 10 years from now,
Okay.
the money is, I'm going to use easy math.
Right.
Like, let's say it just grew to $100,000.
Sure.
$100,000 and the client's now 70.
Okay.
So they're going to take the payout factor
Okay.
of 5%, which means $5,000 every year.
Okay.
What they're going to do though is that you still have the potential to earn interest even after you turn on the income.
Okay.
So if you do get interest, then that will be able to increase the payout factor basically.
Because it's increasing the base amount of money that you have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand.
So that, now instead of doing 5,000 hours, what it does is this is an inflation buster,
Okay.
is how it's pitched basically, because usually in annuities, once you turn on the annuity, well, you have no ability to increase that amount.
Sure.
Whereas here you have the ability to potentially keep up with inflation, even though you've annuitized the money.
Okay. Okay.
So, the other then, so in this also too is this of course has the income multiplier. So if someone has to go to confined hospital, nursing home, assisted living, or is unable to perform 2 out of 6 of their activities of daily living,
Mhm.
then they are going to double the payout
Okay.
for a certain period of time. Usually it's about 5 years. Yeah, they didn't talk about it specifically. It's in another product, but usually it's for a certain period of time or until you run out of your accumulation value, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is an example, blah, 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 but they're just going through an interest bonus and what this looks like. I'm kind of going to skip over some of this.
Sure.
This is the most popular concept with annuities. Is this right here? Is the plateau, increase, plateau, increase, plateau, increase, plateau, increase, because you cannot lose money in fixed index annuities.
Sure.
This is what it should all look like, is you never lose money and you can only increase.
Right. And are the 11, 12, 13, those are months, years? What's that 11, 12?
This is
13?
years.
Okay.
So years of, the reason that 11 years is because this is when you turn on income, because you can't turn on income until the 10th year.
Okay.
So on the 11th, what they're
Oh.
showing is how the interest bonus increases.
Okay.
Interest bonus on the payout.
Right.
So, and then the last piece is 2 ways that the beneficiaries can get death benefit. So number 1 is the accumulation value,
Okay.
which whatever is in the accumulation value, if the client passes away, they can get the full amount of the accumulation value. The other way, though, is that the protected income value is if whatever that amount is, which is going to typically be more, almost always be more,
Right.
then the beneficiaries can still get that. But the way that they get it is they have to take the money over a 5-year period of time.
At least they could take it over longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
That's what it said. Well, I mean, it didn't say they could take it over longer. It said at least 5 years. So I'm assuming that means you can take it
Yes.
over longer.
usually it's a 5-year,
Okay.
a 5-year mark. But the other thing then is, so that's how they can get the death benefit money. Access to 10% of premium per contract year. Penalty free, what they mean is surrender penalty free, because if they were to take all this money and leave, then they would get charged a 10% penalty free
Right.
fee. But if you only take 10% of the value, then you're not triggering any surrender charge and you can still get access to money.
Okay.
So that's the basic, that's the gist of it. Remember, 2 ways to receive a bonus, 2 ways to increase income, 2 ways to take the death benefit.
Okay.
That is the Allianz 222 product. Congratulations. You guys have completed our course.
Yay.
Any questions on the Allianz 222? Jed, I just you doing good over there, Jason?
This is the EIO.
Yeah, EIO. Yes. Like I said, this is a product that is in the space. It's a very, very popular product. We were supposed to do a product or carrier webinar this Thursday, so I took it over. But Allianz 222 is something that's sold quite a bit. So it's very popular. I'd have to check. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still the #1 sold annuity. Athene may have beat them out on total premium dollars, basically. But the Allianz 222 is a very sold product. So it's something that you guys should be aware about, basically, in the marketplace. Debbie, how you doing over there?
Oh, just super.
You're today is a lot. I get to see you today at 1 o'clock then too.
I know.
1 o'clock will be a lot simpler and better. We'll do getting started in setup. But we're not going to go through like crazy terminologies and numbers and product stuff. Is there any questions that anyone has? It could be about anything on this. Like I said, I know it's a lot. I wanted to go over it, and I'm assuming the phone number, that's got to be G. I think it is, but
So when you say it's a 10-year product,
yes.
what specifically does that mean?
That means that the surrender period is 10 years.
But it's infinite. I could start it now.
Yeah.
And 10-year product again would mean
Technically, you can't start it now
why?
because they have a minimum age requirement for this product.
They're jerks.
They've,
But okay, so basically whenever a person starts it, they have to wait 10 years before they can fully surrender with 0 penalty. But they, in theory, the reason why it had those like those age brackets for the payment factor.
yep. Yeah, the
Payout
payout factor.
Was because someone could start it at age 50,
Mhm.
hit their 10-year maturation date for surrender charges at 60, but they could hold on to it till
Yeah.
they're 85 before they turn on income if they wanted.
They could. That would probably never happen
Why?
because 10 years products change. 10 years of surrender part is over. Technically, the agent, if he was a good agent doing his follow-up, all he could do is resell them the product, basically. resell or into a different product, because that's money that's just sitting there. Usually the interest crediting and the bonuses, they usually end after the 10 years.
Oh, so like all the extra 2 ways that are super
Yeah.
beneficial theoretically probably end after 10 years. So you might as well surrender and basically just re-up it and put it back into the same thing, even if you wanted, and
You-
restart the
usually-
whole process.
Yeah, usually you wouldn't be able to, I mean, depending on compliance and stuff like that, but same idea. There'd be a product out there that would fit.
Okay,
But yes, but you could keep it in there and we could keep an accumulating value. Like the interest crediting strategies wouldn't go away.
Okay.
But the other thing then is that 10-year product is you cannot turn on income until the 10th year.
okay,
So you can't decide at the 5th year, like, oh, well, I really want to turn on the income now. In this specific product, you can't do that. You have to wait till 10 years over. That's why when the agent is asking the questions to the client, they want to make sure that the client has a 10-year time horizon before they need to turn on income.
okay.
Yeah.
And then basically at that 10 years, the question then becomes, what do you want to do? Turn on income or surrender?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
I got like $50. Can I get one of these?
No, so the minimum that they'll take is 20,000.
I think you're only a short little hop, tip, and a jump to get that there, Jason.
Let's go sell some AMOs. But yeah, so they usually have minimums. The minimum on this product is 20,000 and the minimum age is 50.
That's stupid.
Any other questions?
That's moneyest.
Yes. Everyone good?
Yes.
All right, awesome. I'm going to. All right, so this is the end of the Allianz 222. Definitely have a good time selling it.